life in general. So I don't know if you've been in the know, but a lot of communities been fighting tooth and nail not to have these massive power consuming facilities in or around their communities, whether it be residential or even remote parts of the state. And what I'm talking about is data centers. And I know you probably heard about data centers here and there, but I want to shine a little more light on this whole subject. I got a few different clips. I want y'all to check it out, and I'll be back at the end with my commentary.
According to the data center map, there are more than 200 data centers across the state, and more than half right here in central Ohio.
We can see it. 10 Investigates' Rochelle Aline is digging into the impact these massive facilities could have on your monthly bill. She joins us now with what she found.
It's no secret that data centers use a lot of energy. Experts I spoke to say right now we're building them faster than our grid can keep up. And that imbalance is putting a strain on things that's costing you more money. Tonight, in a story you will only see on 10, I asked the company that runs our power grid what they're doing about this problem. About a month ago, we heard this from viewers about their energy bills.
They've went up probably double, I would say, in the last year.
I don't know how we're going to keep paying for all this, you know?
So we took those concerns to energy leaders like Asim Haq.
I am the Executive Vice President for Governmental and Member Services.
He works for the largest power grid operator in the U.S.
PJM Interconnection, 13 states, District of Columbia. We serve 67 million consumers.
And he tells 10 Investigates this is one of the biggest challenges they're facing.
The increase in demand that we are expecting over the next decade is almost all due to data center growth.
Hawk says the jump in Ohio was so steep that they're now asking the federal government to let them put a cap on how much they can charge this region.
The price of power in that market jumped from about $29 a megawatt day to about $270. Okay, that is a pretty sharp increase. Now the cap is at about 300 and change.
The goal is to keep that cap in place for the next decade while they work out the best way to charge data centers for the energy they use. But in the meantime, to ease the burden on the grid, he added that they're also making this request of new data centers.
We are encouraging the data centers to bring their own generation supply to the system.
While these experts say work is being done, we understand that there are people right now who need help paying their energy bills tonight. If you find yourself in that position, I asked those experts what you should do. They say you should call your energy provider to see if they have a savings or rebate program. There are also many programs within many cities or counties where they can help you pay your bill if you cannot afford it.
So we got to talk about what's happening in Saline, Michigan with everything that's happening in Utah with Kevin O'Leary's data center. But Saline, Michigan is also being affected by data centers, and the AI crisis is going to come to Michigan very soon because Oracle's data center, the one that they have planned near Ann Arbor, just finished up rounding up funding, and they got $16 billion to build this facility. I want to see an absolute moratorium and laws put into place to halt AI data centers in Michigan. And it's because Michigan contains 21% of the world's surface fresh water, which makes putting data centers in the state of Michigan solid gold real estate to these people. These people like Kevin O'Leary and the AI tech overlords, they will absolutely destroy this state if they are allowed to build data centers here. So really it comes down to two issues for me. Like, absolute no on data centers. I want to see laws on the books banning data centers in the state of Michigan.
Data centers will take the lives of 90% of the population. I'm talking about what data centers are already doing to regular people right now. In Georgia, families are fighting eminent domain because power companies are restructuring transmission lines for massive new data centers. People are literally losing homes so these data centers can get enough electricity to operate. Your childhood home means nothing when billion-dollar AI infrastructure shows up. And out west, residents around Lake Tahoe are already being warned that parts of the power grid may not be able to keep up with future demand. Now think about that for 1 second. Americans are being told they could lose reliable power while giant data centers continue expanding nationwide. And these data centers don't just use power. They use unbelievable amounts of water. Billions of gallons in drought-prone states, and now people living near some of these facilities are starting to complain about constant industrial noise, headaches, sleep issues, stress, and health concerns from living beside massive, always running industrial infrastructure. Because that's what these are. It's not the cloud, not some invisible internet. These are industrial facilities consuming enormous amounts of land, water, and electricity, and they're coming to communities all across America. This is the future they're building, and regular people are the ones being pushed out to make room for it.
Let's talk about something quietly reshaping DFW. Data centers. Not offices, not warehouses, data centers. The buildings that power the internet, cloud storage, AI, streaming, basically everything you touch on your phone. DFW is now one of the fastest growing data center markets in the entire country. Massive projects are popping up in places like Midlothian, Red Oak, Wilmer, and South Fort Worth. Some of them costing hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Here's why companies are coming here. Cheap land compared to the coast, strong fiber networks, business-friendly policies, and enough space to scale fast. From a tech standpoint, DFW checks every box. But here's where the conversation gets interesting. These facilities don't employ thousands of people once they're built. They use a ton of power, they're massive, and when one shows up near a neighborhood, people have real questions about noise, energy strain, land use, and what it actually gives back to the community. So this isn't just a tech story or a real estate story, it's a city planning story. DFW is becoming part of the backbone of the digital economy, the infrastructure that keeps everything online. But the big question is how we balance growth with impact. Because whether you love them or hate them, data centers are here, and they're changing DFW faster than most people realize.
A data center near the Dalles, Oregon used 550 million gallons of water last year. The Dalles is a relatively small town in Oregon's Columbia River Basin, which is one of the most beautiful regions of the entire state. And 550 million gallons is over 40% of their annual municipal water supply. And as forest fire season approaches, I don't have much to say except that before the robots pump every valuable resource out of this community and leave it a shriveled husk, we probably should appreciate some photos.
Just to better put into perspective how big this data center that was secretly approved in Utah is, well, it is 41,000 acres in size, right? Or about 62 square miles, which means this is going to be bigger than Salt Lake City, bigger than the city of San Francisco, much bigger than the city of Boston, 3 times bigger than the island of Manhattan. Okay, so if the data center was put above this entire region, it would cover this entire region. This right here is the existing NSA data center that's already in Utah. It is the NSA's largest data center in the world, right? It would be 200 times the size of this existing data center. And I just want to reiterate, right? Like this data center, the size of this data center was approved in a backdoor dealing, okay? County commissioners and county board members just approved it without a public vote and without public opinion. And when protesters showed up to protest this, rightfully so, look how large it is and how much resources it's going to suck. The county board members demeaned them, okay? Called them fake for their outrage. I think it's fair to be outraged.
The first data center that I had seen pop into the news was for Vineland, New Jersey. And now this article popped up that there are 60 groups calling on the New Jersey governor to immediately pause all AI data center projects. This article was just published yesterday, May 17th by Nia Marshall, if you want to look it up. So this involves more than 60 environmental, labor, and community organizations that are calling on Mikey Sherrill to impose a moratorium on new data centers that use at least 20 megawatts of energy. And they compared that to, like it said, 20 megawatts of data center uses as much electricity as all of the homes in Montclair. Some of the groups that signed the letter that was sent was the Pinelands Alliance, the ACLU, the New Jersey Highlands Coalition, the Nature Conservancy, and New York, New Jersey Baykeeper. They also plan to deliver a petition that has been signed by thousands. And you've seen the posts. They're concerned about the rising electricity bills, the noise that comes from them, and then our water supply. And New Jersey's not alone in this. This article says that at least 14 other states are considering moratoriums or restrictions tied to data center growth as well. Right now, New Jersey has about 80 facilities, and it says only a fraction of them are actually used for AI, but by 2030, the US demand for data center capacity, driven largely by AI, could more than triple. It also notes that the industry reps that are pushing back says that data centers support more than 96,000 jobs and have contributed more than $17 billion to New Jersey's economy in 2023. They also say that they are essential for things like online purchases, telehealth appointments, online news articles, and digital classrooms. This says that Monroe and Andover Township are among the communities that are pushing to have local bans after residents protested the zoning changes. Vineland is already under construction, and that's about 2.6 million square feet. It also says that New Jersey courted AI companies, that Murphy in 2024 created the tax incentive program targeting AI projects and large-scale data centers. The first one was CoreWeave in Livingston, and that received a $250 million tax credit. And then as a side note, I also saw, which I haven't verified yet, so this is just for entertainment purposes only, that in China, or somewhere over there, pretty sure it was China, sunk their first AI center into the ocean, and it's running at the bottom of the ocean for natural cooling, which I can imagine the warming from that, we'll see what that's gonna do. But the video clip I saw was like pods of the computer systems down at the bottom with a diver. So New Jersey, what are your thoughts? Are these already by you, or is it happening? Have you been pushing back?
Hey, what's up, America? Did you guys know that the federal government tried to pass a bill that would have given data centers immunity? Yes, the companies that are building data centers, they would have been granted immunity from environmental damage that they did to everybody in the country. But Congressman Thomas Massie was able to block it. So a bill known as the Protect American AI Act, or H.R. 837, was quietly introduced into the House Judiciary Committee. Now that bill, H.R. 8037, sought to exempt AI data centers from complying with environmental laws. This means if the companies that were building data centers did horrifying environmental damage to your community, they would be totally exempt from the law. That means they could use up all the water, damage the water table, pollute the local environment, and they would have been completely exempt from any lawsuits or anything the public said.
There you have it. And it's to the point where, you know, a lot of people, they just don't want data centers in or around their communities. I've seen various different stories about how it can affect people's health. The noise that's emitted from the data center just kind of ruins people's, the noise from data centers just kind of ruins people's equilibrium, and it just kind of poses a lot of health risks, where to the point where they can't sleep at night. It's just a constant hum from the noise that's being emitted from the actual data center, because not only is the electricity going, but they have things to cool it. And another reason why in certain parts of the country, because as you heard in the videos, is it needs fresh water to actually cool the machinery, and it's to the point where in some places they built the data centers where water is literally scarce. And you know, it's a whole lot of red tape, but the biggest one that stood out for me was the one in Saline, Michigan. That's in my state. People are in an uproar, and they just don't want these data centers in their communities or in remote parts of their states, because they just want, you know, their quality of life to be good. So leave a comment down below if you have been faced with a data center being built in your community, and what has your community done to kind of like combat against big tech, you know, companies like Facebook, Meta, Amazon, and Google. You know, all these different entities are going under different names to get their data centers built. All right, I appreciate you hearing what I got to say, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.